Hello and welcome to another episode of the Spotlight series on Business Club TV. Today, we are delighted to have with us Miss Zinha Cinker, who will be sharing her insights on quantum technology. Miss Gina, could you please tell us what quantum technology is and how it is transforming the future of communication and innovation?
I am Zinha Cinker, and I'm a condensed matter physicist by background. And these days, I work on the intersection of advanced materials, quantum AI, and genomics and multiomics. So we bring different levels of exponential technologies together to lay the foundation of the next era that is going to be the age of exponential technologies. I've had a very colorful career compared to others. I have a PhD in physics. I worked in academia. I taught in academia. I've worked in research. Then I have run an industry association for nanotechnology and two-dimensional materials for the United States. So I've worked on standardization with ISO. I've worked on policy and legislation with the House and the Senate. And then I have worked with FDA and EPA on regulatory and other regulatory bodies. And then it's taken me to another pathway of international policy, international diplomacy. I've worked with the UN, I've worked with UNESCO, I worked with ITU. So I've had a very, very checkered, I would say, background. I've done a lot of different things that have all piece of the puzzle have made me who I am. Um, my path has been a very unconventional path, and I get actually invited to a lot of places where they want to analyze how to build an unconventional path out of academia. And my answer is that there is no blueprint for something like this. This is a matter of curiosity, boldness of not giving shit what happens, truly. Because I mean, if I wanted to follow a path and had specific goals, I would have never ended up where I am. So it's a combination of being very curious and not having a goal, not having a very determined goal in life, and allowing the serendipity of the situation to take you to places, to take advantage of opportunities, and to be robust. So many shit things will happen to you, and you have to be resilient. The resiliency is what makes somebody stick out and stand out and survive after everybody else has fallen. So
Your very first question for you is how this technology works.
So, first of all, what we need to understand is that when we talk about quantum technologies, it's an umbrella term. It is not one technology. It encompasses three or four different areas of development, and they are all very, very different. So, it is like if I told you energy sector is cheap, and you would say, cheap what part of the energy sector? Are we talking about fossil fuels? Are we talking about nuclear energy? Are we talking about harnessing the energy of wormholes? These are very, very different things, right? It's same thing applies to quantum technologies. When we talk about quantum technologies, people think we're talking about usually quantum computing. But the truth is that quantum technologies is the umbrella term for example, quantum communication, quantum sensing, and quantum computing. And each of these fields have their own pathway of development. Some of them are already commercial, some of them are far from commercialization. And one of the areas that we talked about IMC today was the area of quantum communication, which is not quantum computing. It really doesn't have much to do with quantum computing. I will tell you in a second what quantum communication is because that's what's relevant for India, that's what's relevant for a lot of industries, and that's one of the things that is commercial right now. But in the very beginning, I have to say what quantum is. So this year is actually the 100-year anniversary of quantum mechanics. And then because of that 100-year anniversary, the year 2025 is proclaimed by United Nations as the International Year of Quantum. This is the only international year of quantum we're going to get from the UN. So this is a very special year. And it marks the 100-year anniversary of quantum mechanics as a scientific field. Quantum mechanics is this thing where people think, what is this eerie, spooky thing? And it is so eerie and spooky and so fascinating. But the truth is that quantum mechanics is not a new thing. It is applied in every single bit of our daily everyday lives. Quantum mechanics is basically the governing rules of the world of small. The rules that apply to the world of atoms and particles are different than the rules that apply in our world. For example, right now, if I tell you, you go, Rajan, go towards that wall right there and pass through that wall. And you were like, I'm going to break my head and I'm not going to pass through that wall, right? But in the world of small, that is classical mechanics. That's the rules that apply in our world. Now, if you are an electron in the small world, and I told you to go through that wall, there you can actually break through that wall. Yes. So there is something called electron tunneling. And this phenomena is the reason why your computers actually work. The way you're recording me on this device right now, it is electron tunneling that is actually enabling that happening. So this phenomena happens at every level all the time. 100 years ago, we started understanding what these things mean and started understanding the world of small and the quantum mechanics for it. And in the past few decades, now we've started using quantum phenomena to create technologies for it.
Can you brief explain what quantum communication is and how it differs from traditional communication systems?
Quantum communication is one of those areas where because it touches on security and defense, a lot of countries have agendas and national plans that might not be quite public. So that is the thing, is that I do not know that how thorough the national agenda around quantum in India is, but we're very excited to find out and collaborate with the right partners to understand more. Quantum communication is one of those areas that it is it's the most advanced at the moment, and we have commercial product. We have products that are actually used, and the reason why ITU, the International Telecommunication Agency, is working on standards for quantum communication, that should tell you that these are applications that exist. Otherwise, they would not be developing standards for something that is just in the labs. And quantum communication is basically they're based on this thing. There is something called quantum phenomena. There's a quantum phenomena that if you are observing a particle, it knows it's being observed and it changes its state. So a particle observed versus a particle unobserved have different states in quantum physics. That is the governing rules of basically quantum communication. Quantum communication is this. For any encryption that you have, you always send a key. That is how you basically decipher what you have, right? The key is the most important thing. Now, if I want to send you the key, imagine I am the nuclear facility in I don't know, or a Pentagon or White House, or I'm a bank and I want to send the data, or voting centers. If I want to send you that key, this key could be intercepted. And if it is intercepted, you would not know. So you might not absolutely have any idea that this key was compromised and you are sending it. Quantum communication allows us a channel where if you intercept, we will know. And it's not a matter of technology, it's quantum phenomena. If you intercept that channel, we will know that that key has been compromised. So that is the basis of quantum communication. And quantum communication is not for all of us. It's not like you and I need quantum internet or something. It is only for very, very secure channels that require such security, basically. And that's one of the areas where you will see a lot of effort from different governments. From China is very advanced in this. US, we're seeing. I think that we were just talking with ITU folks at Geneva. I think that they use for their voting centers. They used quantum secure communication encryption for this. So that is an area that is being used right now. This is not something. Quantum computing is not quite a general purpose application at the moment. So if I had to pick one, I would pick quantum communication.
What's meaning you from communication?
Communication is the basis of every element of human existence. If you think about it, communication is, if we go beyond what we have a verbal communication and human to human communication, when you have two particles interacting with each other, they're communicating with each other, right? If I'm releasing a force field that is felt by the other particle, that is a form of communication. If the stars are releasing their gravity field, that is a form of communication. If we did not have communication in the realm of this universe, the realm of existence, there will be no weight on this life. And you would not know. You would basically be in a bubble of isolation and not knowing that anything else exists, because your sight would not be seeing anything. You would not be hearing anything. You would not be feeling any force field. You would not be sensing anything. At that point, do you exist or you don't exist? That's a good question, because we do not know. And that for me is the meaning of communication. It goes way beyond what we assume communication is. So I don't think that's the intention of this event or communication event, but I had to take a philosophical stab at it.
Yes, this is what's meaning for you, network.
I always tell people this very cheesy saying that says your network is your net worth is actually true. My job involves a lot of work with policy, a lot of work with standard body, a lot of work with industry, academia, civil societies. The way that we reach consensus, the way that we collaborate is that we have a network, we build trust, and then you can move things within that network. So the more people in my job that I know and I have better relationship with, the more successful I am at what I do. So I encourage everyone who is looking at it to do what I called engineer serendipity, because we never know when we are in a setting like this, we never know who is going to be added to our network, right? It could be a matter of a second of us seeing somebody in a queue to get a coffee, and then you start talking, and that person could become your next business partner or your investor, your and that's the beauty of the word serendipity. And serendipity by design is that you cannot predict it. You just have to put yourself in areas that can increase serendipity. And that is to come to events, to keep your eyes open, to talk to people, to say hi. Because again, you never know who is going to be that partner that will be building your next step of your success with you.
That's great. One message to young entrepreneurs of India.
Young entrepreneurs of India. What I've learned in my life is that we rely on experts sometimes way too much. We think that there are these people in West or on these higher education places or this or this or this, they know better. And the truth is that what I've learned is no matter who you're talking to, at some point, you might be the one person that is on the only person that might be right. And people might be telling you that you're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong. And you think, you know what? They must have a reason, because they have gray hair, they have these accolades, they have this, they have been living. And what it's taught me is that how many times the experts who've told me not to do something have been wrong. And I did it anyway. And many of those things resulted in great successes. Take advice with a grain of salt. That's one of the reasons why I don't give advice. This is a very strange thing for me to be giving advice, but what I'm telling you is not to take my advice right now, okay? Do not take advice from people. Do not give advice, because my advice is only good for me. It happened to me. It's my special situation. What I can tell is I can tell people my story. And maybe some part of that applies to someone and maybe it doesn't. So I really strongly suggest to people who are more gray and old and wise to stop giving people advice and just share their real story of their life. And you young people, you go out there, take whatever you want out of it. It might apply to you, it might not apply to you. But we don't give prescriptions to people.
So my next question to you is, do you share any your experience?
The moments that I'm most proud of are not the flashy moments that people think. For example, you get an award or you do something that people thought impossible, etc., etc. And some those things do not have the same weight. Sometimes there's been these things where I am the only judge of knowing where the bar was. Okay, to the eyes of others, they might think this was such a small thing. They would say, "Come on, but you did this thing. Are you not proud?" Yes, I'm proud of that. But nobody but me knew how difficult it was to navigate a very simple situation. For me, that's like win. I am so proud of myself for being able to navigate that, even though it's not flashy. And that's the thing, is that don't compete for bars of others. I don't compete for bars that are set by others. So A lot of bars that are flashy of getting this award or making it to this level or making this amount of money, those mean nothing to me. The bars that are inside of you, you know. And maybe, for example, maybe you are not a swimmer, right? And you've never swum in your life. And then you start taking swim lessons. And then one day you do 100-meter lap or something and you are so proud of yourself. That might mean nothing. You didn't go to Olympics. People would say, are you really proud of this? Yes, I'm damn proud of that because I knew what my bar was and I know how fast I got there. So the moments that I've been most proud of have sometimes been things that are invisible to the eyes of others.
Yeah.
And those are the ones that I cherish the most. Not the public ones, not the visible ones, not the flashy ones. That's my past. Unconventional path.
Okay. What's your vision in life you'd like to share?
My vision in life is creation, boundless creation, and creation in everything. I think that that is what I enjoy the most in everything is to give birth to something that doesn't exist. And it could be an initiative from the beginning. It could be building an event from scratch and going after millions of dollars of funding for it and making it happen, to writing a book, to finishing a research project, or all of these things are things that do not exist in the fabric of reality. It's not continuing somebody else's path. It's actually creating something completely from scratch. And that is what gives me the most pleasure in life, the joy. I tell young people that there are, especially those in technology, those who go to engineering school, early career scientists, that the life outside is so different than the life that we are taught in school. And we are not taught anything that's actually usable outside of the world. What is important is to learn how to communicate. You are Nobody's going to recognize you in the way that you are unless you exert yourself in something. So for our new generation to become successful in stepping outside of science and technology, they have to become effective communicators, and that is how goes from how you shake somebody's hand, that goes into how you look at somebody's face, that goes into how you 30-second you introduce yourself, you say who I am, why I'm here, and what I want from you. And these are skills. These are things that you actually have to learn. How to speak on a stage, how to pause, how to use your posture. All of these things are a part of who you are. And they determine in a split second in somebody's minds if you are worth their time to mentor you, to want to invest in your company. And these are the things that are not beyond your pitch deck. It's beyond your resume and CV. All of those things get drowned in everything. You and the way you stand and you express yourself, you communicate with the world outside, what was the word? Will be the determining factor, especially in this day and age, will be the determining factor of your success. We actually was talking about this. We actually started working with some universities to offer a course where I will be teaching them, students, how to speak, how to do strategy, how to do team building, how to speak on a stage, because we're not taught those things. And this will be a beginning of an experiment for us to see and follow the career of these students to see how it really can change the way that they position themselves in it. But learn these soft skills, watch stuff. There's so many of them on YouTube. Just watch random stuff. How to negotiate, how to stand, how to shake hands, how to you can train yourself and practice because that will set you apart.
It's the practice, practice.
Practice.
That's big too, right? Yeah, at the end. And my next question to you, what your vision for IMC?
This was my first time at IMC, but I was been so encouraged, especially after Prime Minister's remarks. I was very interested in why India is actually following a path that I did not know India was on. So I'm very interested to see where it goes and to participate and be a part of the growth.
Would you like to recommend some of movie or book related to quantum?
I would say if you really want a good movie, science fiction movie, watch Arrival, and that is on basis of language with aliens, which is very interesting because when we're talking about quantum and we're talking about AI, we're talking about the context of language and what it means. So the closest thing that I can think about that philosophically lands on the same concepts and is intriguing would be the movie Arrival.
So thank you for being a part of our show, and it's been pleasure talking to you.
Tune into Business Club TV for more business insights.